dear viewer. This is Talon. Just wanting to give you a heads up that there will be a discussion of sensitive topics on this episode, like sexual abuse and racism. You will hear us joking about it in the context of a comic book, but that is in no way us endorsing such heinous acts. Just wanting to inform you, your discretion is advised. If you still want to listen to the episode, really appreciate it and hope you enjoy.
All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
And I'm Shawenta.
And today
we're reviewing The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Volume 1 by writer Alan Moore, artist Kevin O'Neill, and letterer Bill, last name escaping me.
Bill Oakley.
Oakley.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Or otherwise known as Mr. William Oakley.
Yes.
And Mr. Alan Moore.
All right. So, yeah, this is continuing our theme of Western classics, books that are considered classics of the art form.
Yeah. And for those who are listening for the first time, we're a bi-weekly radio show / podcast comic book club covering any and everything regarding comics and manga. We have each co-host pick a book that follows a specific theme and review a book for each episode. Then we wrap up the theme with a post-mortem episode covering our opinions and favorite moments from each of the books.
Yeah. So, we're covering League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Volume 1, and we're going to start in with our summary.
Yes. So this comic follows a group of individuals who are brought together by a woman who is recently divorced. And that's a major plot point.
We weren't just being weirdly judgmental to her.
Yeah.
Her name is Wilhelmina Murray. Murray. The team is composed of Miss Murray, a washed-up adventurer named Quartermain, a hermit sea captain named Nemo, one Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and the Invisible Man. An astute reader would notice that all these characters are pulled from Victorian literary fiction. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. This is set in London.
Yeah, in the 1890s.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just before
the turn of the century.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The team is sent to recover an object known as the Cavorite Crystal, a crystal with the power of anti-gravity. It's fallen into the hands of Chinese criminals in the east side of London. Through deception and stealth, they steal the object back and return it to their employer, Mr. Bond. However, through reconnaissance, the Invisible Man discovers that Mr. Bond's employer is Mr. M.
Mr. M is not Sherlock Holmes, as Miss Murray had assumed.
Or actually, she assumes that it's Mycroft Holmes.
Well, at first, I'm pretty sure she assumed it was Sherlock, and then he was like, Sherlock's dead, you're so silly. And she's like, oh, it must be Mycroft.
Okay, yeah.
Because they bring up his death.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, true.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. The M stands for James Moriarty. Yep. The infamous arch-rival to Sherlock Holmes. The League must stop Moriarty before he uses the crystal to power his airship of destruction and wreak havoc on London.
And also just a quick note, too, that it's not just that they are employed by this entity, but it is it is by the official, the government, They are agents of the crown, the empire.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. Because you remember the whole Moriarty thing was like, am I a government agent that's also a crime boss? Or am I a crime boss that's kind of an undercover government agent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or am I both? Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I chose this book, and I did so because as a young child, my grandfather insisted that I watch this movie. And I don't remember much about it except for that one scene where they are training at a shooting range. And the line goes something like, they have the American start firing. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know where this person was from, but it's like, just like Americans, firing at everything and hoping one lands. Let me show you how it's done, and they get it done in one shot.
Probably the British.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
that
think
would make sense.
I think that was probably Quartermain.
Yeah.
Who was the American then?
They inserted an American literary figure, and it was it was like, who are you, and then finally, like,
Their
midway.
special OC.
No,
I know what you mean though.
Yeah, but like the middle of the
kinda
movie, I
was.
think it was Tom Sawyer.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he has special powers. I think it's just that, like, he's good at, like, manipulating people.
Didn't he like float on a boat?
No, you're thinking of Huck Finn, which, I mean, they have, like, they have, like, their own separate adventures, and then, like,
They're so essential to
Greek.
American literature.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of are. They're classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah, Tom Sawyer, not in this book. That was an addition for the movie to connect with American audiences.
that's really funny.
That's so silly. They brought in Tom Sawyer and then they have him like shoot off a gun like crazy. That is pretty American.
Yeah.
So you went kind of backwards, right? You saw the movie and you're like, I wonder what the book's like.
Yeah. Well, I was more like, I can't think of a classic. This seems good enough.
It's a good one. Yeah, I don't really think I knew about it. Like, I knew the name, but I never made any connection of what it was about or who wrote it even.
Yeah, and I think that it's also an interesting, maybe unintentionally so, but an interesting try at the theme itself, being that it is classic characters.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Western.
Yeah.
I mean, they make a point that Moriarty's like, I rule the west end of London, and the China guy rules the east end.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No, totally. And the it's also 25 years or 20
25, yeah.
Yeah, 25 years. Because, that's right. It's like 100 years before is when it takes place.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this is from the turn of our century.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right.
So, yeah, I'd say that, 25 years is a good date range for classic as well.
Yeah, I thought this was written in, the 1990s. This was written...
99.
Well, I guess it came out then. Doesn't mean it was written then.
Yeah. I thought it was 2000.
Components.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Okay, so what was our expectations going into this?
Like I said, I kind of didn't know what it was. And the moment I read it, I didn't read any of the premise. Man, that opening, that opening letter is written very much of the time in magazine style. And I was like, I can't tell if they're being joking or not.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it says, but I think it had something about the delicate sensibilities of women, and I was like, huh? Because I'm so used to books opening up with the actual editor of the book writing this book is awesome because I edited it.
Right, yeah.
And then it's supposed to be written in more of a character in this case. And what a character it was.
Yeah. No, and the little ending cards at the end of each issue too is like that,
Is that the same character?
It's the editor. It's this extra character.
Which,
as if this is all being done in a magazine of the time, I guess.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and similar, you could think of it in the way that older Marvel comic are all you've seen this character in this one, making little, third...
Editor notes.
Yeah. What is it, third person?
Yeah, they're stay tuned, dear reader, for the enthralling end in the terminology of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know how long it took me to figure out we were gathering literary characters.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had, they mentioned Bond, is the name of that guy. And then Miss Murray mentions Sherlock Holmes. And I was like, okay, I guess they're just people. And then they get to Quartermain. I don't know. I didn't even know he was a reference to something. They call that guy Nemo, and I'm Captain Nemo. And I'm like, huh, I think that means something. And then they got to Jekyll and Hyde, and I was like, oh, like I thought they were going to do a Jack the Ripper thing. Because they were, they refer to him, not explicitly. They imply about, like, the uncaught killer.
Right, yeah.
And then, so yeah, they got Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, and then, I don't know, it's so random, it feels like, in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of, I mean, this is probably, like, from an American perspective is the thing.
Yeah,
but, like, if I was doing this, like, the concept, I'd probably have, what's his name? The hunter in Dracula, the guy.
Van Helsing?
Van Helsing,
okay.
yeah.
Oh.
Like, that would be one literary character that would be like, yeah, that makes sense, you know?
Yeah. Well, he replaced Quartermain.
I was going to say, I don't think he sucks, though. These guys all kind of, the point is they suck, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
They're like bad people, sort of.
Yeah. Huh. And also I just realized, too, that actually Van Helsing is supposed to be American, too.
Yes.
I forgot that.
They should have him in the movie.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
That would have been an interesting, if I remember, like, it's kind of more comedic. Well, at least the characters might be. He'd bring a really interesting seriousness.
The movie was very comedic. Yeah. I mean, it was trying to be, I assume kind of like this, a little outlandish in an interesting way.
Yeah, definitely. I think they hyped up their powers more.
Mm-hmm.
Their powers.
Yeah.
Which Miss Murray's power.
Right. I'm like, I guess these guys have powers. It's just easy to forget.
I feel like we're getting past expectations.
Yeah. Expectation. I don't think I had expectations, on my conscious mind.
You vaguely remembered the movie and it being a little silly.
I vaguely remember the movie.
Comedic.
And it was just like, this would be an interesting read, I guess, is where I'd say my expectation.
We're Americans. We should be in love with heist films. Heist narratives.
To be fair, they are pretty good.
Who doesn't?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that I had an expectation because I've read quite a bit of Alan Moore's work. Have you guys, we've read Swamp Thing for the show.
Yeah.
Any other Killing Joke? I think we've talked about Watchmen, so you've
read some of that.
You've read some of that.
I haven't.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
He did Captain Britain, right?
Yes, he also did Captain
Britain. We did do that for the show. Mm-hmm. So I've not read any of him on my own.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious, yeah. Because, I think mostly pulling from his Watchmen work, honestly. Maybe a little bit of... Watchmen and Swamp Thing, actually, both. This felt much more in the writing style of the time, I would say. And not as, just a lot more unedited, I guess.
Writing style of the time, meaning, the early...
The actual time that he wrote it in?
The actual time he wrote it in.
Okay.
I can see it. I think of it like We 3. Kind of like that.
Well, explain...
We 3 is kind of serious.
Yeah, and I don't mean the nature of the narrative. I mean, I guess the verboseness. I don't know. I feel like he is writing too much.
And you feel like that was normal then?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I think, we read Swamp Thing, and then I don't think I've read anything else from him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of the other ones. So I expected more serious introspection, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
And we don't really get that. People are... having an adventure. There's too many people in the cast to have too much introspection. We get the one actually, I think he likes you.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
And they did nothing with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did. But,
they did?
Yeah. I mean, it's a slow burn, Talon. They both hate each other right now, but also I'm like, I don't know. There was that line from Moriarty where like he calls Murray a lesbian, and then I'm like, are we supposed to take that like seriously? Is that the controversy?
No,
or
I mean, I think...
was he just being like insulting?
I think that was the insult of the time.
Yeah.
He was like, you're a woman, you're trying to be more than you should be. Lesbian.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Okay.
Kick her off the ship.
I did interpret that. I was just like, but also maybe it's true.
Does he know something we don't?
Yeah.
I just assumed he was trying to be insulting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's probably just a slow burn romance then.
I mean,
I
yes.
couldn't care.
Yeah.
I just want to say there's only one dynamic possible if you care too much about another character. Or it's not even that. Yeah, you care too much about another character and you hate them so much. It can only mean one thing. A man and a woman cannot truly hate each other. Not in a comic book.
Yeah, fair.
The other ones are like they don't even talk to her most of the time.
Yeah.
That's true.
Quartermain's like, I wish I could strangle her. And they're like, you're thinking about her again.
Yeah. Okay. I think, but that was kind of my expectations. Like, I think that we kind of summed them up pretty well. So
did you also feel that it might end up being more serious than it was?
Yes.
Like more character introspection? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So in one sentence, what did we think of the volume overall?
I thought it was all right until the end, and it was very good.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say it really fell off at the end. It was a little climactic.
Yeah.
I was about to say, it's kind of seemed disjointed at first, and once you start to see the pattern it's following of a typical plot, it makes sense and it comes together.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it just didn't really surprise me that much.
Yeah. It was,
I mean, a little bit like, other than the idea, I suppose, the concept, it was just kind of standard.
Yeah, I didn't know the premise, so a lot of that was discovering the premise as I read the book. I'm like, what are we going to do next? I didn't realize they were going to gather people for a reason. I think I kind of blanked out when Mr. Bond talked to her. You know, because they're always trying to talk in, like, subtext and, like, and he's trying to, dance around who they're really working for.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't understand why she needed that guy, and now she needs a different person. Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, even I knew what the concept of this book was, but at the same time, I was, man, it didn't feel like they really established, we need to build a team,
Did they just...
It seemed like they were just sending her on missions, you know?
They're like, I think there's something over there, go look.
Yeah.
And she finds a dude, and they're like, we can use him. Because it did not seem like they were prepared to use Dr. Hyde.
Or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I don't know which one's the first one.
Dr. Jekyll is the normal dude.
Yeah.
Then why does it sound so close to jerk?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of it is like the mismatch a little bit.
Hyde because he's hidden.
Yeah, and Jackal though is like a devious kind of.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trouble.
So yeah, it's purposefully a little backwards.
I like it. It's like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think somebody thought about this? Yeah, she really gathers them kind of haphazardly. It does not feel super intentional at first. And then, once they zero in on an actual mission.
Yeah.
So how do they know they need all those people to get the anti-gravity crystal back?
That is a good question for our next segment.
Right.
Yeah, we're moving on. Sorry. Much to think about.
Yeah, so now we'll talk about our general feelings about this book and why. So what did we like?
So you can continue with what you're saying.
Yeah, it was a little disjointed, I hear.
Yeah. Also, they're really mean to her.
Yeah, they were.
But also, she's really mean to them.
Yep.
I don't know.
No.
The characters really don't seem to like each other part of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're kind of deplorable, some of them.
I think the only respectable person is Captain Nemo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even he's a little weapons crazy. I love him being like stand down Americans and just like shoots everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like we all talked about, towards the end, it sort of came together and made, we felt the intention. And while it was predictable, there was a goal and we could see as they accomplished it.
Yeah.
And before that, we were like, I don't know what the goal is. Like, I thought they were supposed to be stopping these people. And they're like, and they're going to join the team. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. No, it was very like, I don't know. I was surprised, I think, by how superhero team origin it was.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think that, like, because I've also seen the movie before, but it's been, like, not since I was a kid also. But, like, I thought that was an aspect that was part of the movie, was like, oh, yeah, it's kind of like a superhero thing-ish.
Gotcha.
But the standard Alan Moore superhero thing where they all kind of suck.
Yeah, I guess so. But, yeah, that's the thing is,
They suck to varying degrees. Like, Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, like, he doesn't want to be horrible, and he seems fairly able to, like, compromise. But also the Invisible Man really, really is bad.
No, he is bad. He's a rapist and, like, just, like, has no remorse at all.
And he doesn't get punished.
No.
Like,
They're too busy trying to stop the villains.
to realize the true other villain among them.
Yeah.
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 And he never gets introspective. I mean, that's his character probably. But also, are we going to keep this guy around? He beat that guy to death for his clothes.
Well, I think that the police officer was still alive, probably.
His nose was like smashed in.
Yeah, I mean, he's very harmed.
Yes. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's still, like, a very bad thing to do to somebody just to steal their clothes, also.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And it felt a little bit like the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, except for at least those people had, like, redeeming qualities. They're all space criminals or whatever, but
The Invisible Man's super useful. That's the thing. He's like so useful, but he's the worst.
yeah.
And
Useful, and I know it.
And like Quartermain, they're like, oh, he's an addict. He can't be trusted. And then he just kind of doesn't have that quality later on.
Yeah.
Like, he had it for the one scene.
I'm pretty sure they had him go through a detox. So,
no, he does.
I mean, they did at the very beginning when they first got him. And then he still kind of succumbed. He went to the pharmacy and picked up that thing. And while he wasn't watching, Miss Murray gets, taken away.
I remembered it as alcohol.
I mean,
that's still, I'm just saying he's giving into a vice. And his vice is addiction to substances. So, whatever substance he can get his hands on.
Yeah.
Which he then uses to poison Jekyll and
Hyde.
Yeah.
Is that because, like, Hyde doesn't like alcohol?
I don't know.
I just think it's such strong alcohol in that quantity. That's what I assumed.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like some sort of like I have not.
I don't know.
read.
Was it absinthe or something? It was probably something
like
really strong for that time. Because he went to a pharmacy.
I guess that's true. That's a good point. I didn't really think about that.
Like rubbing alcohol.
God.
Ooh, that doesn't even taste good.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought they killed him. But you see what I mean by like, so much of this is spent going like, oh, so they're taking down criminals.
Yeah.
And then they aren't.
They're recruiting them.
And they're like, perfect member for our team. This man who's been, I mean, we're kind of, and by we, I mean me, I'm kind of forgetting that Hyde just like ripped apart those women.
Yeah.
When?
That's
those
how
murders.
They recruited him. You know.
Do you remember they were those murders that were happening in Paris?
Uh-huh.
That's
that was years ago.
No.
Well,
so they make a reference to the what's his face?
Chevalier.
Yeah, Chevalier Dupont.
No, they make a reference to the other killer that can't be caught in London.
Oh,
Jack the Ripper. They
yeah.
make a reference to Jack the Ripper because they're like, oh, he targets like sex workers.
Right.
And he's like, they talk about how brutal those murders were, like ripped apart and like just bent in weird places. And it's like, okay, we really want this guy now.
Yeah.
And like I do like, I mean, if you can forget that he was just the worst in doing that actually is really a step up from the Invisible Man.
Yeah. It is weird too. Like, I mean, it's weird that they don't address the crimes of the Invisible Man. It is kind of weird that the way that at least Dr. Jekyll feels like guilty. But like
they're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, they're not like. I mean,
he's just guilty just because
but they
that's
also,
his personality.
I mean, he feels guilty, rightfully so, and also he's in this job that's going to exploit the heck out of that horrible part of him.
Yeah. And also though the thing is that it's like, so they established that he doesn't need the potion to make his transformation.
Just stress, yeah.
So I'm like, what were you doing? Getting like, are you hiring the prostitutes and
because he's doing it as the normal dude. You're right. That means he was just putting himself in bad situations.
Exactly. Like
kind of like Quartermain.
Yeah.
And despite that, of course, he's one of the few characters that seems to like change a little bit, hide himself. You know, the fact that he's like, do I even want to rescue those guys? The last time I saw them, they like poisoned me. And he still shows up and he still saves them and protects them at different times.
Yeah. And Miss Murray's like able to talk him down. It's like,
yeah.
And he's
he said, stop bothering me. Yeah, so clearly they have, it's a connected brain. Like, he was bothered then and he's bothered now. Whichever persona he's in. Yeah,
and he can make the choice. Usually the peak of his rage is right when he transforms, and so I was like, it is really risky of you, Miss Murray, to be like slapping him and telling him he's not a man and stuff, you know, and he grabs her arm and
hurting her arm.
And she's like, please let me go, and he just does it. It's like, oh.
We never get that with the Invisible Man. And I don't know if Captain Nemo needs to change much for the story.
No, yeah. He's
weapons crazy. He doesn't trust these English bastards.
Right, yeah. And I do feel like, especially given what I feel is Alan Moore's, I don't know, political perspective, I think that where this narrative is heading is that basically the British Empire is the bad guys.
Yeah. The beginning of it is like they've had a hard time realizing themselves as colonizers or something. I don't remember what the quote was exactly, but yes, there was the mention of colonization right at the beginning, very clearly.
And what Quartermain is the colonizer. That's you know.
Yes.
Yeah. Said not with any shame, I should say, you know. Like, I think that Nemo calls him that with insult, but generally that is like his title.
Bring in the colonizer.
Yeah.
That's a superhero name.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it now.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think like, I don't know, actually I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit. I was going to talk about how I see this progressing a little bit, and that's like the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I also liked in terms of the way that like Hyde's character is shown too, that he lies to the Invisible Man about not being able to see him.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What you doing?
I was expecting that to come back sooner.
Yeah.
Like some sort of double stab. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, I think, he's just being, I think it's showing that Hyde is not just like a rage monster, you know, he can make like plans for the future.
And as we've said, that makes it worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, even the ending, they're like, yeah, we're going to keep you on a huge retainer and you'll work for us, the government, the real good guys. And all I can think is, what good things are they going to do in their free time?
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird to me, I guess, that because it's well known among people that, what's his name, Mr. M, Moriarty, thank you, is like a bad guy, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why they're just instantly like, oh yeah, we have to stop this, even though we've been taking orders from him, you know? And then they're just, okay, well now Mycroft Holmes is in charge of the intelligence agency, so, you know, we don't have any more questions about why Moriarty was in charge.
Trying to destroy London.
Yeah.
Just one bad apple. We got rid of him.
It's like, there might be a bigger problem here, guys.
I hope it's only good apples in the basket from now on.
Yeah.
Is Mycroft supposed to be like not good or like?
Well, I mean,
He's kind of a neutral figure from the Sherlock adaptions I've seen.
Gotcha.
You know, he's the government, whether they want to be, you know, on whose side, you know, who do they want to bankroll?
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and another thing that I actually disliked was I didn't like that they had Jekyll and Hyde as basically a Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't know what the literary representation of it is.
So I haven't read it, but my understanding is that honestly, because they say that Hyde looks like monstrous when after the potion, but it's there's just different interpretations of that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people like to think it's more of the attitude on his face, you know?
Yeah, because he still somehow fits into society. He like can wear the like regular clothes of Jekyll, but still, you know, it's just he's cruel, sadistic.
Exactly.
He lashes out, you know, he's the worst version of the Victorian gentleman.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But then here they're like unmistakably evil. Evil makes you look bad and big.
Yeah. An ape.
God.
Yeah. And also the fact, like, at least you could have taken some drama in the fact that, oh, well, he has to take a potion to change back and forth, you know? So it's like, that means that you have to distill the potions, and then, you know, you might, oh, I left my potions back on the ship. I can't transform right now.
Yeah,
you know?
and now it is just like, I've gotten so volatile, I don't need my potions.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. I think that's...
Do you have any more likes, dislikes, Talon?
Oh, like I said, with the ending, it felt very much like older style end of superhero movie. We're all...
Oh,
we
thank
see
goodness you've saved us.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. I don't know if it's on my mind because we, like, read it, I don't know, like 4 weeks ago now. But it kind of... The last issue made me think of the end of issue 1 of Fantastic Four, where they're all, now we'll be a team. Everybody put their hands in. Like,
We've settled all our differences.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like, I like that. That's really cool.
I think it is kind of funny that Quartermain and Miss Murray are like, hold me, as they think
Oh,
they're
yeah.
die.
I was like, that's it?
That is not addressed.
Right. Yeah.
We don't have time for that.
They do. All they have is time now.
Yeah. But the thing is, they thought they were going to die. So
Oh, yeah, so it doesn't count.
yeah, they're like, we won't discuss this. We won't even discuss not discussing it. It's already no.
Yeah. I also really like the premise. The idea of like actually having literary characters that you're remixing, I guess. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. I'll give it that.
I kind of feel like They built up the Doctor as such a villain, and then I don't know if they're gonna do any more with him. Is he gonna come back later? Like, they destroyed his big ship.
Right.
Like,
right.
Quartermain is terrified of him, and I thought that was done pretty well. Like, you know, a character you don't see the face of, and they turn around. That brief moment, that look in his eye is so terrifying to, like, a hardened adventurer. And then, you know, later on, everybody's bowing to this dude as he's being, like, you know, on this platform being taken and paraded along.
Yeah.
And, like, you can't even see his face. It's very mysterious and creepy. And then they destroy his ship, and then they gotta deal with Moriarty.
Yeah. There's no way that he's gone.
Okay.
I feel like he has to.
Yeah, maybe. Or we just gotta come up with new villains.
Right, yeah, true.
Yeah, once his ship was destroyed, that was the end of his power. So
Yeah, because I think this series went on for 100 and...
I know there's at least a second volume.
Yeah.
Because I almost read it.
yeah, no, it's definitely... But it, like, I think the series, like, ended, like, a couple of years ago.
Really? So
only a couple years ago?
Wow. I mean, I'll say Miss Murray's, like... They just keep talking about it. They gossip about her so much. They're like, she's divorced. Did you know that? And I heard some incident happen. I'm like, just tell me what the incident is. I want to know.
Yeah, it ended in 2019.
Wow.
Okay. Wow.
But also, I guess, okay, it just came out very slowly. That's what it was. I misunderstood. Or, I don't know, not misunderstood anything. I just was wrong. But yeah, there's 21 issues plus one original graphic novel.
I mean...
Oh, wow.
Wow. What an arc to start on. The Oriental Danger. The moment they said that, I went, oh boy.
Yeah. No, I mean, even in the... They talk about, like, the Egyptians and
even when she goes to get Quartermain, like the first thing that happens is, like, the moment you step into this country, there will be possibly sexual assault.
Oh
yeah.
It's like, okay.
Not good.
Yeah, I know, and I think I can't remember, but it was like they weren't even calling them, like, all Muslim or something, but it was like.
I don't know what term they were using.
Yeah. It was just...
Was it Sikh?
No. It was, like, I mean, it felt derogatory. Let's just say that. I don't know.
Whatever it was, I'm sure it was derogatory.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that true to the time period... Maybe, but also did we need to include it that much, that
Historical
heavily?
accuracy is important, okay?
Yeah.
Especially when we're dealing with anti-gravity crystals.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of anti-gravity, I really like the we're set in, 1800s. Aerial, flight is...
They're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The idea of going through the sky.
Right.
The danger you would be.
Yeah. And it's like this airship. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then fighting with papers. Like, this thing is going to blow up. And then they get to the ship with a hot air balloon.
Yeah. What else would he have? I really was expecting, like, a big weapon. Unveiling.
Yeah. Although I did think it was really good too that, like, basically the Chinese airship, because it doesn't really need to fly by, like, the conventions that we have to make things fly. It just goes up. That it's basically a big pistol. It's like... Yeah.
I don't think I noticed that, but I like the designs. I could see, like, the little Chinese designs.
Yeah.
I do like when they pull out almost a tank or something. I think we really got to gloss over that.
When?
When Moriarty's airship is taking off, all the people in the Chinese section of town are like, they pull out kites and stuff, but right before that there's a scene where it almost looks like they pull out a tank.
Yeah, they're like air cannons or something.
It's
like,
something.
Yeah.
I love that though. They're just like, well, darn it. We'll still destroy you. It's like, the dude wants to destroy London. Isn't that what you wanted to do anyway?
Mm-hmm. Also...
No, we wanted to do it ourselves.
How... I don't know, maybe I don't really need to care about the mechanics of the crystal, and I get that. But also...
How do you stop it from forever floating up?
Exactly.
'Cause that's...
Or moving forward.
I don't know.
Well, clearly, spoiler alert, like, it didn't.
Yeah.
It just went...
Mm-hmm. Also, another thing, too, is can that just be an infinite energy device, too? If you, let's say you put water up on it and then have it like drop back down or something by hitting a wall and then a little propeller.
I'm sure it can do whatever we want it to
do. Sorry, yeah. Okay, anyway. Take my little engineer's cap off. And
I mean, yeah, I'm thinking of other things I didn't like.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we just kind of know most of them are super obvious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Quartermain's ever going to wear less clothes to entice a killer for a mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also...
What would they do if they didn't have her? They'd grab a random woman off the street.
True.
Yeah, and she, like, offers herself up as bait, like, instantly. She's like, I'll be bait.
And despite what they've been alluding to, like, some traumatic things she's been through that's probably similar is what they say.
Right, yeah, like some sort of, like, sexual assault or, you
yeah. But she's like, I do it for the love of the game.
Yeah. I know.
This is a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why she wants to make this work so much. Like, what's she gonna get out of it other than money?
Mm-hmm.
A sense of purpose? Is that what she wants? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. They're so cagey about what it is that she
has been through, is getting over.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of them really want, other than, I guess, to, the general idea of, like, everything's gonna blow up if we don't do something.
Yeah. And to some extent, some forgiveness from the law,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard any of them worry about that.
Yeah.
They seem perfectly forgiving.
That's true.
Yeah.
They're not like, oh, you gotta work for us for a little bit, and then we'll make sure you never go to jail for what you did.
Yeah.
I expected them to say that to, hide. They don't.
Right.
At least not on page. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of parts where we're supposed to, like, expect it, like, know that it happened, even if it's off screen or something.
Okay.
Like, they are so chill with the fact that it was not Immaculate Conception.
Yeah.
He has 3 kids out there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
He does. Maybe more.
Yeah. You're right, though, that, the one part where they convince they convince the Invisible Man. He's like, I don't care if everything blows up. And they're like, you will die even if you are invisible. You idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, speaking of the Invisible Man, I found a lot of it super weird, and then but there was some good jokes in his chapter where he's introduced.
Mm-hmm.
One thing was that on the school, because the school was called something Coots School for Wayward Gentlewoman.
Yeah.
But on the front of the school is written the word Schadenfreude.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, what a name.
Yeah. So it's the feeling of receiving pleasure from somebody else's pain.
Yeah, that's what's been going on.
I mean, in every single way, that school's just torturing their students, and the students are so okay with it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's super sexualized.
Yeah, it was.
School.
It was very Alan Moore, what's happening here
Right.
exactly?
I felt like I was in a Duckman episode. If you guys have ever seen that cartoon.
I haven't really,
they have
but
some
I know what it is.
Some very strong satire like that, where it's just ridiculous sexualization. And they're like, we're so silly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I haven't seen it.
But yeah, no, I was like, I don't know. It was weird though that like it felt like the characters knew something that was not revealed to me.
It was so much more tongue in cheek than any other section.
Yeah.
That I was like, is someone gonna drop the act, or are these people for real? Like it was so extreme.
Yeah, and I'm like, is it like I mean, this term gets kind of thrown around a bit, but like a wow, actually, I'm forgetting the term now. The when you fall in love with your captor. I know
what you mean.
Yeah, Stockholm. Yeah, is it like kind of Stockholm-ish, like where the girls are like, you know, okay with the abuse, or is it like?
I think the term you're looking for is grooming.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah. Have they been groomed, or like?
When you're in a horrible situation and you're stuck in the school.
Yeah.
It's such a weird comedy bit that like stops after they leave, and then it's not addressed.
Yeah.
They're like, those weirdos over there. Anyway, leaves. Yeah, they really just jump out of that situation with their new team member.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever get over that.
No, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't.
Do you think they ever address it in the 100
or no,
issues?
It's not 100. I was so wrong. It is 21 issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
issues.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels unlikely.
I think we're just supposed to know that everybody sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know how she's a bad person.
Yeah. It's, I don't know.
It was her that was the perpetrator.
Do you think they're going to try to do some sort of all these characters are actually misunderstood?
That doesn't feel like, I mean, yeah, he did defy my expectations a bit just with this, but I don't think that he would go that route where it's like, oh, they're actually like, I mean, literally the Invisible Man was caught a child, like.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Like, you can't unred hand that, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you make a character make up for that? They just learn to save the world?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. He just might not be concerned with making these characters better people.
Yeah, I think that he is okay with writing characters that are not good people, and sometimes not good people do good things.
Yeah, I mean, a story can't always be obsessed with like morally helping their characters.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just suck.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it would be fine to not make the Invisible Man so one-dimensional, but I don't think that it'll ever be like, and you as the reader should like now forgive him because he's good now,
Fair.
But,
yeah.
But you can forget.
Yeah, goes on enough adventures.
I just don't know what kind of introspection we'll get from him, what kind of development. Because it doesn't feel like anything's been set up. Like, it's been set up for Miss Murray, it's been set up for Quartermain, Hyde is showing some of it. Nemo doesn't need to change by anyone's standards. They're all like, this is perfectly fine. I mean, he's literally suspicious of everything, and he's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought of it as like they have introspection or they're like changing. I didn't notice that.
I mean, characters don't necessarily need to have introspection. It depends on what you want to do with them, right? But in that case, if they're not going to like look inward, either way, you're going to have situations that make them question what they believed previously, right? Or how they acted. Yeah. So like Hyde he doesn't like them, doesn't trust them after what they did to him, so he's forced to rescue them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Right.
Gotten so caught up in this, I feel like I've lost the plot.
You mean where we are?
Yeah.
We're still in the what we think.
Yeah, we can talk about the art.
Yeah, let's talk about the art.
I thought it was very interesting. That is probably the most surprising thing about this comic was the art. I did not expect it to look like early 2000s as it did.
Interesting that you ascribe early 2000s-ness to it. I feel like this is much more of a personal style than a house style of
if you told me early 2000s, I would not think of like these thin lines like this in a very cartoonish way.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I guess so when I think of early 2000s, I associate it with like the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
So
and that's like a very that's early digital look, isn't it?
Yeah.
This feels very pen and ink.
Yeah.
Scratchy,
Gotcha.
but in a fun way. Yeah, even with the first like statue bust that they have on one of the pages, I went, oh, that's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And there's definitely some parts where I saw the art and liked it. I don't know, there wasn't too many times I stopped and really paid attention to it because it worked for the story pretty well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I do think if I took a little bit longer, I would probably find more that I liked about it. I don't typically like thin line styles that are scratchy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they do nicely with this one.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that I like the art. It reminded me a bit of Magnolia, Helltone.
I have to look at it again to figure out how the shadows are. Because that's what I always associate with him.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think that this relied so much on shadowing, but the thin lines is kind of where I was at, and
the kind of caricature way.
Yeah, anatomy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it was a little inconsistent. I especially noticed it with Miss Murray, like how she would change shape or appearance a little bit in ways where I was like, huh. I feel like they did this panel quickly.
But yeah, just like the shape of characters and their heads and stuff is like very like straight lines, like not a lot of curvature to people.
Okay.
That can be fun.
Yeah, I think when I think of Hellboy, like the art, it seems more, I guess, I don't know if like the word that comes to mind is jagged.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm trying to describe with the scratchy term.
Yeah.
I did not find that as much here in this comic. It
Yeah.
felt more clean.
No, yeah. I mean, it's like, I think it's, so for one thing, I mean, it's two different artists, they do have a different style. It's just like kind of the thing that I'm like, oh, it's kind of like this.
Gotcha.
But also, I think that it's more jagged when you get close up. When you look at the splash page of the submarine, that's pretty like refined, detail oriented,
Right.
But then when you look at their faces and body,
Yeah, versus Magnolia.
yeah, that's definitely much.
This is almost...
Yeah,
I don't know. I was reading this on a pretty big screen, so I guess I got to see the art really close.
Gotcha.
I liked it. Ooh, also, just because I'm here at this part of the book, close up on Captain Nemo's face, actually really good.
Yeah. Some of the Nemo shots are really cool, especially with that weapon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anytime I picked up a weapon.
Yeah, you can tell that that's his favorite character, and that is the one character that got its own graphic novel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. I really like there was a scene early on in the comic with Nemo. I think it was when he was first introduced, where he was heavily shadowed, and the shell on his turban was like the most eye-popping, like the thing that had the detail. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't notice the coloring too often, but I think it worked.
Yeah.
Near the end, what I also found funny was they had just broken the crystal, like the case, and it shot up.
Yeah.
And Quartermain's like, hey, we're still on the ship. What are we going to do? And Miss Murray is the funniest frown ever.
She's like, he's right, but I don't like it.
Oh, cool. Do we have any more to say about the art or any other likes and dislikes segment?
I don't know, thinking about the color more, I feel like it was very drab at times, but it made sense. It almost was like the London grimy old school movie.
Yeah, no,
They're like, this is London, it's gross.
Yeah, when they were in other countries like Paris and Egypt and stuff, you know, it was like they used different background colors where it was all still very monotone, you know.
They'd have pops of color though,
Yeah.
and they seem, you know, kind of intentional in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Those like Chinese kites in the sky was the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because of all the color.
Totally. Cool. So now let's transition into discussion of our theme. As a reminder for those listening, our theme is Western Comics Classics. And so it's a good opportunity to think about how this book fits that theme. So would you consider this book a classic?
Now this was a thought that came up as I was working on the script. I did not feel the need to give a lot of context for this book as opposed to last episodes. Was it last episode? I think so.
Which book was it that you're referring to?
Quarter Maltese.
Quarter Maltese.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Hugo Pratt. Who's even heard of him?
So to me, I'm like, I wonder if that makes it less of a classic in that it's more fit for our time. Like,
wait, so which one? You're saying this one is more of a classic because...
No, I'm saying I'm wondering if it's less of a classic because I did not feel the need to add context. Because
so you don't feel the need to justify it as a classic because it's not as much of...
No, I think is this what you're trying to say is that because... well, yeah, I guess it depends on what you mean by context.
Well, okay, so in the last episode, we had a section where we talked about this is who Hugo Pratt is. This is what Quarter Maltese.
So you felt like there's less history to explain with this comic, therefore
less of a classic.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I can get that. Like you can
its
see
backstory is pathetic.
Yeah, you can get a through line with also Fantastic Four where it's like, oh yeah, this is like, you know,
say a lot about it.
Yeah. There's a lot of history as far as Marvel's first.
I mean, did you research history on this? Just because
that's fair.
Just because we don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that there is something to be said. I'm not sure that I would even consider this a classic in terms of Alan Moore's bibliography.
Yeah, I've looked at like stuff that Alan Moore's written and like looked at the list, and I never noticed League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, I would say that this maybe is somewhere between A and B tier on his stuff.
Okay.
Surmising that there's an S tier, right?
S tier,
okay.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I should have said that.
So there's S, there's A, and you're like, it's not B, but it's made it.
Okay. I'm glad I wasn't there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So you're like, it's not even that exemplary for Alan Moore, like a famous writer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I will say too, I feel like this book really showed me too. Like I'd always kind of had this suspicion, I think, but Alan Moore is about as talented of a writer as pretty much most other mainstream comics writers. I feel like, you know, like he really gets put up on a pedestal.
So you're saying everything he touches isn't gold?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everything he touches is gold, is what I meant to say.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Like I was like, yeah, And the other thing too is that I feel like a lot of people don't appreciate his cheekiness. You know? he can be very funny, and I feel like people expect him to be very, very serious. And I'm like, no, he's a funny guy.
He's kind of funny with some of the Watchmen stuff, I thought.
Yeah, he is, and people totally miss that, though. He is funny in Watchmen, and nobody catches it. Or, well, not nobody, but like the masses.
Yeah, I kind of agree, you know, as far as I had a different expectation for Alan Moore, like you're saying, the typical one. And even though this wasn't the same as the expectation, still was kind of like, eh. I don't, like, I keep wanting to be like, maybe if we read more, we'd see why people considered it classics, because I know some people do. But you probably don't need more.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a classic, you know, we probably would have heard about it more, probably would, like, be able to recognize what it's influenced since then.
Yeah.
Man, he's obsessed with superheroes.
He would hate it if you heard you say that.
I know.
Is he not?
No.
Oh, okay.
He spits upon superheroes.
Yeah, he very much has professed being done with superheroes, very much dislikes like fandom.
See,
Gotcha.
what we could say is, as an American who's just inundated with superheroes, all I can see is superheroes when it's just like regular people. Like, they're supposed to be flawed human beings, you know?
No, I mean, I will say, though, that I was like, I don't know, in some ways, while I liked the concept, sorry, this is backtracking a little bit, but I liked the concept, but I also was all like, I don't know, this could just be like a Marvel comic with like the Hulk and Black Widow and like, like...
Who's Black
Steve
Widow?
Rogers?
Miss Murray. Like, yeah.
Steve Rogers is Quartermain.
Yeah, you know, it's just like an alternate universe, you know, not set in Victorian London, but just like an alternate universe where they have like kind of these flaws or whatever. You know?
I don't think I can see this as a classic so much. It's probably a classic to some people because it's written by Alan Moore and because it's of that time.
Gotcha.
I think the premise could have been done better. It's a cool premise. I feel like it took me a long time to figure out what it was, and I still am like, are you sure that's what you were doing?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Fight the Chinese.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Just all
Why does Moriarty need to fight the Chinese? Is that a classic thing that I missed?
Well, no, they were encroaching on his territory. He had to get him out of the way. That's... Yeah.
We, as a writer, you made him encroach on his territory.
Yeah.
Alan, what is the Chinese doing? What did the Chinese do to you?
Yeah.
It's a classic plot line of that time.
Yeah, no.
I just don't find it to be... It's so weird how it feels underutilized.
Right, yeah. It feels like, you know, he went, okay, you know, everybody loved the deconstruction of the American superhero. How about I do a deconstruction of the British literary hero, you know? But then it feels too celebratory and reconstructive of it, you know? Like, oh, I enjoyed this, you know, literary fiction, and I enjoyed, you know, the tropes of it, and I want to... Which, I mean, in its way, Watchmen can kind of be that way, too. But, like,
It's lost in the celebration.
Yeah. It's like, I don't feel like there's a good reason to have these people be all like, ooh, the Orient, you know?
No.
Where's the historical precedence for their rivalry?
Yeah. I don't know. I think... Never mind. Yeah.
Is the Doctor, this Chinese man, like a literary figure that we're missing?
Right, yeah. It'd be interesting I wonder if, because I know, okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. At one point, Marvel had the licensing rights to the character Fu Manchu. And I'm like, I can't remember if that character is now in the public domain or at this time was in the public domain, you know? Because, I wonder if the Doctor is supposed to be a stand-in for that if it was not actually the public domain. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which would be interesting, but I don't know.
Where's the deconstruction?
No, it does fail to deconstruct.
I sound like I'm like being sarcastic most of the time. I am serious. Like, is this a literary thing in British literature that, he's trying to address?
Yeah,
or is he just doing it because that's the typical plot line of the historical era?
That's what I feel like it is that it's a typical plot line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Granted, though, I would kind of hope to see later on in the series them subvert that a little bit, but who knows? They didn't do it here. So.
Not even a whisper.
Yeah.
The Chinese truly are evil and up to something under the underground.
Yeah. Like the only slight subversion, I suppose, is just having some admittance that the British were responsible for the Opium War,
Oh, yeah, that's really a side thing.
Yeah,
right?
it's a super side thing. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, this happened, I guess, but and that's why he's mad at us. But like, it's like you didn't. Well, yeah, once again, it's very much like the Invisible Man thing. It's like, wait, let's go back and let's talk about that for a second. Like, you did something wrong.
We stabbed him, and then he's mad about it.
Yeah.
What's with him? There's a lot going on there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think we kind of agree that this isn't really a classic. Mm-hmm. So the next question is, well, we really addressed that. The next question was going to be, is this work off-putting for today's standards and sensibilities?
We can't help but constantly mention it.
Yeah.
Like, I tried to stop myself, but I can't. Mm-hmm. It's just steeped in it.
Yeah.
They're like, Miss Murray and the female hysteria. Mm-hmm. They're like, why won't she shut up for 5 seconds?
Yeah.
She's like, you guys aren't taking me serious because I'm a woman.
Like, yes.
Like, your point being. Anyway, did you guys hear she's divorced?
Yeah.
So weird that she's divorced and took her maiden name.
Yeah, and it's weird that it feels like every character mentions it in the company of the rest of the characters, and then they go off and talk about her as like duos, and then they're like, yeah, I heard that she's divorced, and it's like, I thought we all...
That's the thing, they keep bringing up this thing, but they're not elaborating, there's no new information, so I'm like, yeah. Figure it out. Like, either stop talking about it or figure it out.
Right.
You should ask her.
They wouldn't dare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, she says to, I think, Hyde, like, you won't question me, right? Like, that would be improper of you to press me further.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. If it's going to subvert any of these, it better do it quicker.
Yeah. It should have done it, 5 issues ago.
I think that, I think he's trying to do that in some ways with, she's shown to be capable, question mark. She's shown to, want to do things, be proactive, and sometimes she's pretty right about her, like, hunches, even though they totally, like, blow her off on, like, certain things. Mm-hmm. But that's about as much as she'll get. Yeah. And also, yes, she will get into a romantic duo with the first male character she met, for the most part.
Well, yeah. First white male character.
Well, other than Mr. Bond.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But he's probably married.
I mean, once you save another character from a horrible situation like that, you just grow closer and closer.
Yeah.
I mean, studies have shown.
You just have to be on a falling airship, and that's when you'll finally find your true match.
Or just kidnap one of them and then
I mean, she's like one of the only female characters we see that's not a joke or like a side character that's just a caricature?
She's the... Well, I was going to say she's the only, but that's not true.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, no, Miss Coots.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. She's a caricature.
Yeah, she
Okay.
is.
She's a caricature.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a few other characters. Like there's the like sex worker they talk to
Oh,
on the
yeah.
street.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, ugh, you don't even want my services.
Yeah.
Final gossip.
Yeah, also, I guess, interesting choice, too. I just remembered that, like, when conversations happen in only French and only in Chinese, they don't translate them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
I always just assume it's the worst conversation that I wouldn't want to hear anyway.
I can kind of understand French, so I could tell what they're saying.
oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah?
But like, I don't know what Chinese.
Yeah.
What?
What were
I mean,
they
it wasn't
saying?
important. It was like
Oh, okay.
generic thing. Like she went off with some dude.
Yeah. Basically, they just
Oh, okay.
restated, the important bits in English after when they said, "What did she say?" Yeah. Then,
Hidden depths.
yeah, and yeah, I suppose the Chinese was probably even less important because they didn't even do that. It was just like they're yelling at each other.
And I don't even know. I think, did they have Arabic? I don't remember what it was.
Oh, that in the beginning?
They
Yeah.
might have. It's
Yeah.
I didn't read that today.
I did
so-
not look at it too
Yeah.
closely.
Yeah,
so
yeah. When they were trying to...
it was
Get Quartermain.
vaguely foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, what a track record.
Yeah.
So, do you think did they change much of that for the movie?
Oh, I don't remember. That's too much detail.
Yeah, I do feel like I don't know, it's weird because I know, like, obviously you couldn't get away with like over changing the premise. It was the same time period, but also the Tom Sawyer thing, that character and that actor seemed much more modern in my recollection is the thing. So I'm like, it's so.
Oh, was he like a kid?
No, he was an
No.
adult. Yeah. That's why nobody knew who he was because his adventures, were
Are
as
over.
a child,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you do think that obviously they updated, they added an American.
Yeah.
This is too British for us. We could never.
Yeah. And also the series wasn't over too.
Yeah.
So they didn't really know where it was going.
But I mean, like,
Oh.
what we're talking about, like the sensibilities of the time. I don't think the movie was that far off from when the original few issues came out. So I don't think I have a feeling they probably didn't update a ton of it.
No.
They were
I
like,
don't
this is
think-
cool.
I don't think any of the Chinese part was there. I
I wonder if they just fought Moriarty.
I feel like that's what happened.
Okay.
But I don't...
I mean, instead of trying to remember, we can just, like, theorize, I guess.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2003 was when the movie came out. So just
Wow.
four years.
They did not update anything. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I watched a French actor in, like, the 2010s pretend to be a Native American man.
Oh, they made the enemies the German as
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We weren't even fighting the Germans then.
Yeah.
That much.
Yeah, a terrorist group led by the Phantom robs the Bank of
Ooh,
England.
the Phantom.
The Bank of England for Leonardo da Vinci's blueprints of Venice's foundations, kidnaps German scientists, and destroys a Zeppelin factory in Berlin.
Not the Zeppelin factory.
Yeah. Yeah. Quartermain meets Reed's boss, M, who explains that the Phantom intends to profit from the World War and intends to attack the world's leaders at a conference in Venice
Is
in
that
3 days.
set in a different time? though?
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
That might be a later arc. I
Well,
wonder.
no, it's 1899 is what it says.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The World War.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And so there are multiple other different characters. They meet Dorian Gray.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do remember
I've,
that, yeah.
I've seen, like, even in the ending section, they mentioned Dorian Gray, I think. So I'm like, I don't know. It's updated
Yeah.
in a different way.
Yeah. And Quartermain does deduce that M is Professor James Moriarty.
Yeah, I figured they'd love that twist for the movie.
Yeah.
I love when they show Moriarty, and I was like, I already knew it was going to be you, but I don't know what you look like, so I'm assuming it's your big head.
But yeah, pretty much the basics, So not the Chinese.
Yeah, and, usually we go, this is how we'd update it. We know how they updated.
That's true.
Yeah.
They
Also,
went, we're going to sidestep the problem.
yeah. Also, I think I just read a bit of the Wikipedia page, and then also I'm kind of remembering this. I think Quartermain is also not addicted to drugs, and he is like, he actually like loves Africa. Like he's like, that's like his home, because they.
I mean, he would as a colonizer.
Well, yeah.
Sorry. I mean, they all say they love Africa.
Killing me, Shwenta. Anyway, no, but yeah, they like, because spoiler for the movie, as we've just been doing anyway, Quartermain dies at the end, and they bury him in Africa, and have like a witch doctor do something over his
Service?
grave. Yeah,
I'm sorry, that's really funny.
yeah, no, it's still bad in its own way, but
They're like, well, we're in Africa. What do they have here to, do a funeral service? I'm sorry, that's so silly. I know you're just like summarizing something and it could be totally different, but it's really silly.
Yeah, it is really silly. It's a similar thing where the makers of the movie was like, this is a little bit racist, so we better do a different flavor of racism.
I don't know if they were concerned about that. It is interesting that they cut the like drug addiction in general. I wonder if they were going for a different flavor of colonizer. Mm-hmm. Or they were trying to make it more kid-friendly. Because you guys watched this as kids. Yeah. They probably wanted to dumb down the rating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's definitely like a PG-13 early 2000s superhero movie.
That makes sense why it's the Germans now.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to how would the story be different in modern day?
I mean, we know how it would be different, but also
it still
they'd
feels
be so quippy. Sorry, that's just.
It still feels a little close to today.
Yeah. I think my more ideal for this question is more of like, Shwenta, you said that you felt like the concept could be done better. Like, how would you do it?
I would lean into more of the steampunk stuff. I thought that was kind of like, that's fun. They're getting an anti-gravity crystal. They're gonna go on a big airship. Yeah. Like Moriarty's ridiculously evil, and that he's like, I'm gonna float above you guys and then I'm gonna destroy you. And it was like, I thought you were making a lot of money and like having a good time being a crime boss. He's like, I'm gonna destroy everything.
Yeah.
Not like hold them hostage. He's gonna just destroy them. So dumb. And like all the kites coming out, like the spectacle of that is fun. I don't know, and then all the set pieces having to find the, it's very cinematic in some ways, finding the hot air balloon going up there and, fighting against these guys who all have perfect uniforms for this airship that's just started flying. I don't know, it's cartoony a certain way, but that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I would obviously like cut out a lot of the racism and sexism and like, sure, in the name of like historical accuracy, you could have it, but maybe Captain Nemo is familiar with the racism that he has experienced, and is like, I'm not going to also be racist toward, other people of different,
Well, that's just unrealistic. Sorry. I can see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think they can still have them, doubt Miss Murray, but she just needs a chance to prove some of her skills. Like, she seems useful, or else why else should she be here? But the book almost seems scared to let her be useful enough so that they can just, like, constantly doubt her. It's so weird. I feel like they're holding back their own character.
Yeah. And I'm not even sure. Alan Moore it feels like almost like you're not fully escaping any misogyny,
Even the banter between them.
Yeah, because like I'm just thinking about his other work too. It's like the main female characters that he's written in Watchmen and Swamp Thing. It's Swamp Thing is like Swamp Thing's love interests. And it's like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like Watchmen, it's Silk Spectre, whose character is basically, oh no, my real dad was the comedian who was an awful person and, you know, sexually assaulted my mom, and that's how I came about. Yeah, like, but that's you know, and also my boyfriend is a really old guy who isn't really human. He can just, you know, he can see into the past and the future equally, you know, so he doesn't really care about me, but he also does care about me.
He's the only one who cares about me and gives my life purpose.
Yeah.
That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, basically, you know, it's failing the test.
Bechdel
test, you know, like her relationships and problems are related to men, you know.
They're just kind of, no external motivations.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just need to establish that for Miss Murray. Like, even if it's something vaguer, I'm fine with that. Keep her backstory a mystery still. Just let her do something.
Yeah.
And not be negged.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, maybe that's just showing all the misogyny she has to go through. Quartermain won't shut up for 5 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, I think what I would do though is that I would speed up the processes that I feel like must at least slightly happen, you know? Like have the characters be, I guess at least some of them be a little bit more redeeming, even if they aren't totally redeeming, you know?
And then, I don't know, just the beginning, you know, we were talking about it feels disjointed. Have it presented as like, oh, we need you to prove yourself, Miss Murray. So go in and solve these problems. And then, you know, have a whole scene where it's like, okay, I solved these problems. They're like, okay, here's your group. And she's like, wait, what?
Sorry, we don't have any space for them over here. You're gonna have to keep them.
You're in charge of rehabilitating them.
Yeah.
I think I would want to lean into the literary aspect more. What I was thinking is have it be more connected, like the fact that Sherlock Holmes is a real character in this.
Yeah,
like,
he's a real dude.
Yeah, I was like more of that connectedness.
Jekyll, I mean, not even just Jekyll and Hyde, but like all of them seem so isolated in some ways. It was really easy to pull them out of the situation they were in, and they don't have like people they're still thinking about or talking to. I don't know. I mean, they don't get too much time, so we don't know. Maybe they do, but they feel kind of isolated in a weird way. So yeah, they do feel like they were plucked out of a book for this. Versus like you're saying with, you know, Holmes, we get to see he has a brother. He has like this arch-villain. People still talk about him. He's probably like in the paper or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like they know each other from something. Yeah. Okay, well, I think that we are getting to the end of our time here.
Yes.
So, really quick, we can give what is something that you'd hope to see if the story continued, like if you read more.
As I said, I just wanted to find out Miss Murray's backstory really badly.
Yes, same.
Yeah. I want to see them truly turn on the British Empire, you know, go rogue from their employers. Yeah.
Maybe the Chinese were right all along.
Fight the power.
Yeah. You, Talon?
Oh, same.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Miss Murray. Okay.
Yeah, Miss Murray's
Cool.
backstory.
All right. Cool. Well, there you have it. That is our review of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. If you liked the episode, be sure to follow us on Twitter at ComicPanel1 and listen to more of us on Spotify. Our title is The Comic Panel Podcast. You can also listen to us on KSUARadio.com or 91.5 FM in Fairbanks, Alaska. Be sure to tune in 2 weeks from now for our next book. I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
And I'm Shawenta.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.